Hello class and welcome to lesson 2, compare and order integers. We have no vocab today, so let's just jump into our unlock the problem. Alright, so unlock the problem, we need to compare -7 and -4. So I'm going to choose another color. Let's do green for -7 and blue for -4. And since they're on the negatives, I know I'll be looking on the other side of the 0. So I'll be going on the left side of the 0. So I see -7 here, so I'm going to put a dot. I see -7 here, so I'm going to put a dot there. Boop, boop, boop. And -4 is 4 places behind the 0, so it's right here. Now when I compare these, -7 is on the left. So that means it's the smaller one. And -4 is on the right. And remember, when you're doing negative numbers, the more left you go, the smaller the number is. Even though, like if we were just looking at the number 8, 8 is bigger than 7. But remember, with negative numbers, when you're always going to have the smaller numbers bigger, because if I owe you $7, I owe you more than if I owed you $4. So, therefore, -7 is less than -4. Because if I owed you $7, I would owe you more than if I owed you $4. So I'd be out $7 more. I'd have $7 less in my pocket because I have to pay you back $7. If I only had to owe you $4, I wouldn't have to owe as much. All right, let's move on to our steps. So we want to graph the integers given. So if we're comparing -7 and -4, I need to graph them. So I need to make a graph. And I need to graph them. So green is for 7. Oh, I gotta write my numbers. All right, now I can graph my -7, and it is 7 places from 0 on the left of the 0, and my -4 is 4 places from the 0 on the left of the 0. Now I need to compare by looking if there's a negative sign or not. So I can just look at the numbers themselves. And this is pretty easy, and I do this just because if you're comparing 7 and -4, then you can just automatically look, and if there's a negative sign, and one with a negative sign, one without a negative sign, then you know that the one with the negative sign will be less than, right? One without the negative sign would be greater than. But here in this case, we have 2 negative signs, so we need to move on to the next step. So now we need to compare based on left and right. So compare the number on the left, and not like how it's written here at the top, how it's on the number line. So let's write our number line again. So here's our number line, and now we can see that -7 is on the left and -4 is on the right. So therefore, -7 is less than -4 because it is on the left. All right, let's do some examples. All right, so for example, one we need to compare 5 and -9. And I just want to point out before I get started that when I have lots of negative numbers to write, it looks kind of sloppy, but I alternate going up and down so I have room because the negative sign kind of makes it hard to fit the numbers in. So I just kind of do all my even numbers going up a little bit just so I can fit them all in and have them still be lined up with the line I make. So let's do blue, let's do red for 5 and pink for -9. So 5 is 5 places to the right because it's a positive number. And -9 is 9 places to the left of 0 because it's a negative number. So therefore, 5 is on the right, -9 is on the left, therefore 5 is greater than -9. And I can also look that there's no negative sign in front of 5. So therefore, you could tell right away, but you guys need to know how to actually graph because that's part of the standard. So if you can give me this answer, but you can't put it on a graph, you can't get a 3. All right, so now we need to compare -2 and 0. So let's do -2 in pink and 0 in green. So I need to graph -2, so it's 2 places behind the 0 on the left, and 0 is exactly at the 0. So -2 is on the left, whereas 0 is on the right. So therefore, -2 is less than 0. All right, and that's it for today. So big idea is just make a graph and graph your integers. And left is always going to be less than, right will always be greater than. And anything below the 0, so we could think about when we're talking about like in front of, if we were standing in line and here's our person checking us out at the checkout register, we're all facing that way to go towards him, and the 1, 2, and 3 are all in front of the 0, and then all the negatives are behind the 0. So if we're looking and we're walking that way, or just like how we read left to right, the 0 is here, these numbers are in front of the 0, these numbers are behind the 0. So if I say in front, that means I mean to the right. If I say behind, it means to the left. All right, guys, I will see you at your designated meeting time.